Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, DZ Canon Toys, where I do reviews and share my thoughts on some of my favorite toy releases. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we have another review to look at, and it is actually the recently released S.H.Figuarts Jiren Full Power. Let's take a look at the box art and get the unboxing started. Here we have our Jiren Full Power unboxed. So let's start with the background information of the toy company as well as the character. For long-term Dragon Ball collectors will probably know S.H.Figuarts already, but it's a popular line of high-quality collectible figures made by Bandai. Originally they debuted in 2008, and they target their products toward adult collectors with its higher price and show accurate detailing of the figurines. As for our character Jiren today, his full name is known as Jiren the Grey. He's a member of the Pride Troopers in Dragon Ball Super. He served as the main fighting antagonist in the Universal Survival Saga as a major contestant in the Tournament of Power. Being very powerful, Jiren is considered to be one of the strongest mortals in all of the multiverse, outclassing even some of the God of Destructions from Dragon Ball Super. And of course, this version of Jiren is him being fully powered up, and hence his upper clothing disappears with his power-up. It's supposed to be more muscular and, in terms of the muscle mass, much greater. Here we have a closer look at the upper body. Overall, the sculpting here is done very decently. Starting with the face, we have a lot of scruff marks all over the face. His expression looks very serious. It seems like he's just been through battle. I especially enjoy the two veins on top of the forehead. It really pops and gives Jiren some much needed character for his simple design. Moving down, for rest of the upper body, I really enjoy the fact that they decided to have scruff marks all over the upper body, similar to Ultra Instinct Goku release. This really makes Jiren seems like he's on the battlefield and has been taking damage. Some nice subtle details about the gloves that Jiren is wearing. Actually, at the edges, it looks like it's ripped, so that's a nice sculpting detail compared to the original Jiren, which is not. Moving downwards to the legs, over here, it seems like the design is exactly the same as the original Jiren release. The only difference that I can tell is on his right leg or on our left side right now, we do have a small rip at the thighs, and on the rip, we do have nicely colored details of his inner body in this gray skin color. Here's a full shot of the back of Full Power Jiren. As you guys can see, the majority of the sculpting details is on the upper body, and Jiren here looks extremely muscular in full power mode. Here's a quick side-by-side comparison of Full Power Jiren and the original Jiren release. So this was actually quite surprising for me because I thought they would be more similar in terms of the sculpt work, because they could have just repainted the upper body of the original Jiren body in gray and give us a shirtless Jiren. But to my surprise, it seems like the upper body of the Full Power Jiren is an entirely new sculpt. I definitely prefer the sculpt work of the Full Power Jiren more. It looks much more defined. As we can see, the muscular features are done much more clearly. Especially for the abs, we can see Jiren's six-pack abs over here on the left side, compared to him in his uniform on the right side is being more covered and less detailed. Also, in regarding to the chest area and the arms, our new Jiren also seems like he's a bit wider. Interestingly enough, the head sculpt is also very different. The original seems more calm, more simple, while the one that we have on the Full Power Jiren seems more menacing. In regarding to the size, it also looks like the new Full Power Jiren has a smaller head compared to the original Jiren, and this makes him looks even more buff compared to the original Jiren. Now, in regards to the waist section, as I mentioned, the Full Power Jiren, we just have a leftover red part of the Pride Trooper uniform ripped off, so that's the difference in regarding to the waist. As for the legs, they look the same, and I believe they should be the same sculpt, so there's not too much difference there. So let's take a quick look at the back. Over here, similarly to the front, the new Jiren is also a new sculpt on the back of the torso, clearly, and he does look more beefier, and I'm not sure if it's just because he's shirtless and done in this one color compared to the uniform version of Jiren, but definitely there's some differences here in terms of the sculpt work. In terms of the paint work, for our full power Jiren over here, we just have 4 major colors for the color theme. We have the gray for the majority of the skin color, the black for the pants, the white for the gloves and the boots, and finally the red at the waist section, which is what's left over of his ripped Pride Trooper uniform. So overall, the color theme is quite simple, but it is done pretty clean. Upon closer inspection to the figure, I don't really see too much paint defects, but I mean, it's very simple color theme, so it makes sense. There's not much to say over here. Again, we have a side-by-side comparison of full power Jiren compared to the original normal Jiren release. In terms of the paintwork, I think the major difference over here that we can tell is the new Jiren is using a matte color theme compared to the original that uses a glossy paint job. I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, but the original Jiren is sort of reflecting light with this paint job, and the new Jiren is not, hence the glossy color theme compared to the matte color theme. Personally, I like the new Jiren's matte color theme better. It makes the figure looks less like a toy, but again, I know some of you guys out there prefer glossier paint jobs. This one is really up to preference. The last thing I want to mention before we move on to the next section of this review is the original Jiren and the new full power Jiren seems to be the same height. Now let's move on to the accessories. First, we have the head sculpts. So we have 4 in total, including the one that's attached to Jiren right now straight out of the box. The extra ones actually comes attached in this little accessory thing. So we have this thing over here. Anyways, let's take a look at the head sculpt. For our first head sculpt over here, of course, is the one that's attached to Jiren straight out of the box. This one is a normal looking face. Next, we have a teeth clenching face. Although Jiren's face is quite simple, I really like the design and the sculpt work they did with these expressions. They really represents Jiren in the final battle very nicely. The third one, we have a full screaming one. We can see Jiren's tongue and the inside of his mouth done in this purple color. The last one actually looks quite funny to me. It's with his teeth clenching again, but over here we have his eyes closed, and this can be one of the expression that he makes when Ultra Instinct Goku is beating him up, I guess. Here's another angle of this face expression. I have to emphasize on the fact that Tamashii really brought their A game to this full power Jiren release in terms of the facial sculpt work. Jiren is really a simple character in regards to the facial design, but they really made it work with these anime expressions, overly exaggerated with all the veins popping. Also, one thing to mention over here is that this Jiren compared to the original Jiren and similarly to the S.H.Figuarts Jiren release also used the same type of neck joint, which is very easy for us to swap on and off the head sculpts. Just to show you guys, it's this round piece and pretty much we can take any headpiece and just swap it in. Very easy, just like that. So this is very convenient for us figure collectors when changing the headpiece, but if you were to pick a negative about this type of head design or neck joint design, it is that it may be a bit loose when posing, so you might pop the head off by accident. Next, we have the hand accessories. So right out of the box, we have a pair of closed fists, a pair of open palms, finally a pair of gripping palms. The last accessory included in this release is actually this energy ball effect. It's quite simple, just a piece of energy ball, and what we do is we can make Jiren hold this piece with his gripping hands. Here's the effect that we do get after placing it on Jiren's gripping hand. Something to note about is that the effect piece is made to fit Jiren's left gripping hand and not the right one, because there's actually finger indentation grooves for the hand on the energy ball effect, and that's why it will only fit on one of the hands. The effect is done in this clear orange color. Although it's small, I mean, it's always nice that Tamashii do include some energy effects for us in these releases, because often or not, we don't have anything. So at least having something is better than nothing. On to the next section, which is articulation. Of course, Jiren Full Power over here uses the 2.0 S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball articulation body that we've been so used to if you're a long-term collector. Overall, the articulation would be really great, but here's a showcase. As for the head, we have the 360. The neck joints, we have a side to side, front, looking down, looking up, backwards. The arms go all the way up. We do have a 360 rotation, that's good. We also have a butterfly joint over here to extend Jiren's articulation. Opening it to the max, we do have a gap over here, but if you're looking at it from the front angle, you won't really see it. For the bicep, we have a swivel, the elbow bend, wrist rotation, 360, a little bit of a wiggle room up and down and side to side. As for the waist, we do have an ab crunch backwards, that's pretty nice. We do have a side to side for the waist as well, and a slight rotation. For the lower waist, we don't really have too much of a rotation. It seems pretty tight. So I guess the lower waist is not really articulated that well. So we have to depend on the upper waist over here for his articulation. Let me just double check over here. Okay, so it is really tight over here on my figure, but it is possible to rotate the lower waist a little bit, but I don't know, I don't want to break my figure, so I'm not going to try too hard over here. As for the legs, we have all the way forwards. It is hindered, sort of. We can't kick it all the way up. We can go up about this high. Backwards is much better, all the way up. We have a thigh rotation, knee bend. As for the feet, we have a down, up, 360 rotation. Also side to side, ankle pivot do exist, and toe pivot. So yeah, overall the articulation of Jiren over here is pretty decent. Here's just a bonus shot for you guys. So we can do sort of a splits for Jiren over here. It looks quite funny. Now we have some size comparisons. Of course, the original Jiren that I showed you guys earlier. Here we have our Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Also one of our Vegetas over here. We have some more characters from the Universal Tournament arc. Frieza re-release. Jiren looks much bigger over here compared to the smaller Frieza. We also have a third-party Android 17 Universal Tournament Edition or Dragon Ball Super version. Here's our recently reviewed Rebotech All Might. We have our Mayfex Hush Batman. Finally, we have some more 112 scale, which is Mezco Cyclops. Here's a Figma heavily armed series Ichi. Alright, so final thoughts on today's figure, which is our S.H.Figuarts Jiren Final Battle Edition, or otherwise known as Full Power Jiren. I have to say, I do really enjoy this release, especially compared to the original Jiren. Personally, I'm actually a fan of Jiren in his uniform. That looked better, but this figure changed my mind on that because the sculpt work on the upper torso is entirely new and looks extremely epic. The paint job, I also prefer the new Jiren much better because it's done in this matte color theme compared to the original Jiren, which is done in this glossy paint job. Furthermore, in terms of facial expression, this Jiren is done extremely well. All of the expression included in this release of Jiren looks extremely epic. It really gives the character of Jiren that much more flair considering that the design of Jiren is quite simple. Anyways, there goes the end of the review for today. Let's end this review off with this hilarious expression of Jiren over here. As always, if you like the content that you're seeing, please remember to support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. I would really appreciate that. As always, my friends, stay young at heart. Until next time, we're out.